He is so goofy.
Well, howdy, y'all. Today we're going to be getting a little goofy. That's right, we're ranking the characters of a Goofy movie and its extremely goofy sequel on the morality spectrum. I'm Keefe Nosy with Wicked Binge, and this is The Goofy Movies, Good to Evil. As usual, we'll be starting off this video by looking at the most heroic characters and then working our way down to the worst of the worst. These characters are the good. Up first, we have to give the gold medal of good to none other than Goofy himself. Honestly, was there any doubt this character wasn't going to be getting this spot? In both films, Goofy is a kind, gentle, and caring father who only wants what's best for his son. While this desire does lead him into conflict with Max on some occasions, his heart is always in the right place.
I'm trying to get away from you.
Goofy's not the type of character at all to be selfish nor self-centered, which is something you can't say for a lot of other characters on this list, even others that we consider good. Goofy is also a staunch optimist. While Max shares plenty of complaints and grievances during their road trip in the first film, Goofy looks at the bright side of things, never letting problems get to him. Goofy also maintains a good relationship with all of the other characters in the films. He has a great father-son bond with Max, gets along well with his friends, and even enters a romantic relationship in the sequel. If there's any flaw Goofy has as a character, it would definitely be his naivete. Goofy, as you probably could guess by the name, isn't the smartest character in the Magic Kingdom. He couldn't possibly imagine his son trying to change their road trip destination, which only adds to his dismay when he realizes Max has done just that. Beyond that, however, Goofy's easily the most good-hearted character in this entire duology, and more than deserves this spot on our list. After all, can you really be friends with Mickey Mouse if you aren't an upstanding person? We just looked at Goofy, so how about we talk about his girlfriend next? Earning the silver medal of good is the one and only Sylvia Marpole. One of the major additions to the second movie, Sylvia is the head of the library at the college Max and Goofy attend. Shortly after meeting, Goofy and Sylvia both realize that they were made for each other. As such, it's not at all surprising that she's second only to him in our ranking. Just like Goofy respects and cares for all of his friends and family, the same holds true for Sylvia. She's very affectionate towards Goofy and wants to see him succeed academically and as a father. In all honesty, the only flaws or hubris Sylvia has as a character don't even have to do with her character. Rather, the problem with her is that we don't spend a lot of time with her in the movies. She only appears in the second entry, and even then she doesn't get much in the way of screen time in it. Despite that, Sylvia manages to cement herself as one of the kindest characters in the series. Not bad for such little screen time, wouldn't you say? Our bronze medal of good recipient is the love of Max's life, Roxanne! One of the few characters to appear in the original film, but not the sequel, Roxanne is the girl of Max's dreams. What Max doesn't realize, however, is that Roxanne is also harboring a crush on him. She is very shy about it and only shares that info with him at the climax of the movie.
I already liked you, Max.
Despite her shyness, Roxanne is a likable and charismatic character in this series. She's well liked at school, being one of the popular kids, but unlike most characters who fit this archetype in cartoons, Roxanne is anything but snobby or full of herself. She's respectful to every one of her classmates regardless of their social status. She also has no issue standing up for herself and others, even to authority figures. Take her interactions with her father, for example. She tells him off when she sees that he's making Max uncomfortable, which shows that she has the guts that few other characters in the series have. Roxanne is also very forgiving. While she is upset with Max for canceling their date and lying to her, she ultimately forgives him and agrees to go on another date with him. Roxanne is admittedly not the most developed character in these movies, but for a love interest in an animated movie of this era, she actually has a surprising amount of personality. It's that personality more than anything else that gets her the third spot on our list. In our next slot is the Beret Girl. No joke, that is indeed her name. An artistic college student with a knack for poetry, Beret Girl is the type of person who stands up for what she believes in, no matter who or what opposes her. She has no issues snapping at the star athlete Bradley upper crust and also praises Max for doing the same.
We are all choking on your second-hand smoke.
While it isn't touched upon to a large degree, it also seems that Beret Girl is a bit of a social activist. It's not a huge part of her character nor the story in the film, but it does appear to be that she has a specific set of ideals and values that she believes in and will work to make those ideals a reality. Like Sylvia, Beret Girl's only issue is that we don't see her that much in the film, causing her character to have less depth than she potentially could have. Regardless, Beret Girl is a talented student and an even better person, making her a perfect fit for this particular spot on our list. We have but one character left to touch on for this section of the list, and since we started with Goofy, it's only appropriate that we end it with his son, Max. In a nutshell, Max is your average teenage boy, full of angst, hormones, and parental issues. The Lust Medal also goes to Max on account of how many decisions he makes in the hopes of wooing Roxanne in the first film. More than anything else, though, he's afraid of turning into his dad, and it's his relationship with Goofy that's behind much of the conflict in both movies.
Stop wasting my time, Dad. I gotta stay focused.
He grows frustrated with his dad's hijinks and the road trip in the first film, and is upset at the idea of going to college alongside him in the sequel. Max wants nothing more than to stand on his own from his father, and hates his dad getting involved with his personal life. This leads to Max saying and doing some pretty nasty things, most blatantly of all, his tampering of the map, leading the duo directly to LA, the destination of a concert Max wants wants to go to. That all being said, while Max is far from the perfect student and son, he still loves his friends and his father. Most of his problems, of course, come from him growing and changing as a person more than they do a generally negative or mean demeanor. While he has plenty of arguments and disagreements, he learns to move past those. Just as Goofy said in the first film, Max really is a good kid, even if he has a rough edge or two. He definitely has his flaws, but when push comes to shove, Max will do what's right, and we have to place him here because of that. That's the good characters over and done with. Now we'll look at the characters who aren't quite villainous, but certainly aren't heroic either. These characters are part of the gray area. First on the chopping block is one of Max's best friends, Peach. The son of Pete, Peach will have Max's back through thick and thin. While that does make him a genuinely great friend, it also has the unfortunate side effect of having him be complacent in some of Max's not so great ideas.
Look, Max, if my dad catches me with this, he'll kill me.
He helps Max set up a concert during the last day of school, which leads to him getting into trouble with both his father and the school principal. Speaking of his dad, that's another aspect of his character that puts him into the gray area. While Max is often argumentative and confrontational with his father, Peach is anything but. That might sound like a good thing at first, but more often than not, it makes him something akin to an accomplice to Pete. Peach isn't the type to call him out, nor stand up for himself in the way that Max or Roxanne would to their fathers. This makes for a character that lacks the heroic traits that most of the preceding picks had. In conclusion, Peach is a great friend, but his tendency to follow others into trouble means we have to put him here on our list. Better luck next time, dude. Next, it's the final member of Max's trio of friends, Bobby. This Pauly Shore voiced pal is a slacker through and through. He loves all the things your stereotypical slacker enjoys. Video games, cheese, pizza. If you can think of it, Bobby probably loves it. Similarly to Peach, Bobby's also willing to help Max with basically anything, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's always good.
Slurp it.
While his character is somewhat shallow, one thing we can infer about his character from his actions is that he isn't the most responsible student. A member of the school's AV club, he has no qualms about using the equipment for Max's gain. All he asks for is a can of cheddar to do so, showing that he's much more carefree about stuff like this than most other students probably would be. And that's really all there is to Bobby as a character. While he's without a doubt a great friend to Max and Peach, he seems to be the wild card of the group. You never quite know what he will or won't do, making him the perfect fit for the gray area. We have one last character to look at in the gray area, and earning that spot is Bradley's right-hand man, Tank. Like the sidekick to any animated antagonist, Tank is the brawn to Bradley's brain. When Bradley wants something done, Tank is the guy who will get it done. Is Peach in need of a wedgie? Tank is the guy to take care of it. Despite being a seemingly loyal follower of Bradley and his club, Tank does reach a breaking point in the film. After Bradley leaves him for dead during the X Games competition, Tank turns his back on him. Once Bradley's disposed of, Tank becomes a new leader of the Gammas and also starts to become friends with Max, who saved his life during the competition. Tank might be a bully and a cheater while hanging out with Bradley, but it seems like he's turned a new leaf at the end of the sequel. Because of that, Tank is spared from entering the last section of our list, instead being the final member of the gray area. That said, we do have to give him the Darwin Award. We did say he was the bronze to Bradley's brains after all. Finally, we have reached the area of the list nobody wants to be in. These characters are anything but goofy. Instead, these characters are evil, which is almost the opposite of goofy. Our second to last character of the day, we're handing out the Silver Medal of Evil to Pete. If we described Goofy as a caring, loving father, Pete is the complete and total opposite. Pete doesn't particularly care how happy his son is, nor how healthy the relationship is. What matters most to him is that he's the one in charge and that Peach follows all of his orders. He chastises Goofy for not adopting this approach, which only adds to the tension between him and Max in the first film. Pete doesn't get any better in the sequel either. While Goofy is sad and apprehensive about Max leaving for college, Pete is practically counting down the seconds until Peach is gone.
It's my last night of babysitting and I'm a free man.
As such, it's really not surprising that they don't have a relationship as good as the one between Goofy and Max. Also, Pete definitely earns the Pride Medal today. In his world, it's only he who matters. Pete is anything but the ideal father figure, and it's his toxic outlook on parenthood that really puts him in this spot on our list. Despite all of that, however, there is one character who outdoes him in the awful department. That, my friends, is none other than the winner of the Gold Medal of Evil, Bradley Uppercrust III. The main villain of the sequel and the head of the Gammas, Bradley's your typical stuck-up jock. He looks down on anyone not part of his social circle and only cares about winning.
You don't want to be weighed down by those clowns, do you?
Bradley is, unsurprisingly, also not particularly interested in playing fair. He cheats anytime he gets the opportunity to do so, and he is so obsessed with victory. Now, if that was all there was to his character, Bradley probably wouldn't have gotten this spot on our list. Sure, being a bully and a cheater is bad, but is it worse than being a really bad parent? We would say no, but attempted murder most certainly is. That's exactly what Bradley does during the X Games competition. He enacts a trap that incapacitates Tank, very nearly killing him. This also shows that Bradley has little to no care for those that he considers to be his friends. We have to award him the Greed Medal. A glory hog in every sense of the term. He's the only character here who really could get this one. Everyone is just an obstacle to him, nothing more and nothing less. The only things he cares about are fame and glory, and he'll resort to even murder potentially to make sure that those are his. With a sheet like that, how could we not crown him as the most evil character from the Goofy movie franchise?